Welcome to Opening Pandora's Box, a guide to facing your inner struggles without feeling overwhelmed. You know, Pandora's box was this mythological object, and whenever it was cracked open, all hell broke loose. And I know that's what it can feel like sometimes whenever we think about facing our inner struggles. Like if we just crack this thing open a little bit, all of a sudden, all hell's gonna break loose. The emotions are too big, the feelings are too big, and it's too much to deal with. We have work to take care of, a family, a home, all of these things to kind of maintain, right? All the while, it feels like there's something just bubbling below the surface. Some anger, some sadness, some dissatisfaction, and you can't quite put your finger on it. Well, if you feel like this, you're not alone. Many men live with this quiet internal struggle that we face. And the problem is, too many men are afraid to really look inward. Why? It's because our daily lives require us to have this facade and this front on. And so it feels really scary to crack that open and unleash this wave of emotions that we feel like we're not fully equipped to deal with. And so what do? We suppress them, we push them down, but they don't really disappear. There's parts of ourselves that for long periods of time go unacknowledged, and this internal buildup begins to happen, and this deeper sense of anger, sadness, frustration, resentment, dissatisfaction builds up until it just either spirals out of control or erupts into this huge rupture. So what I'm offering here is a way to face those internal struggles in a very controlled and slow and mindful and meaningful way, to where it's like routine maintenance. Like imagine your car, if you never got the oil changed in it, if you never did that routine maintenance, what would happen? Well, the friction and the heat would build up so much that one day the engine would just explode and leave you stranded on the side of the road. And so really looking at these internal struggles in a way that is smaller bites, maintenance, gives us a way to continue a path forward for ourselves that feels more manageable, that's not as scary, that's not as overwhelming. Key insight number 1, routine maintenance is needed for our long-term happiness. You know, just like that car that needs regular oil change, maintenance, tire pressure checked, all the fluids checked, our internal self needs that regular routine maintenance. This is something that would begin to form a new habit for us of going inside, going through this process, checking in with ourselves on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to see where we're at, how we're feeling, what needs to be cleared, so that we keep this bubbling under the surface pressure that tends to build up and explode, and we change that whole narrative to be something where we're consciously, proactively doing the routine maintenance within ourselves. And so this is a huge shift from this suppression, from the ignoring, from the not acknowledging what's happening, and we're taking an active role within ourselves daily to go inside, see what needs to be checked, move it, clear it, and move on to the next. So this is key insight number 1. It's all about the routine maintenance. Insight number 2, opening Pandora's box doesn't have to be this big ordeal. You know, a lot of men feel like, oh, if I open this up, it's too big, it's too much for me. And really, what I want to invite you to do is to just look at one thing at a time. Break it down into these really smaller bites and begin to build up the capacity to hold and to expand your emotional awareness, expand your emotional intelligence. As we go through this process and this practice, it's not about looking at everything all at once. It's about the more subtle things. It's about attuning in with yourself in a way that acknowledges even the small little parts. And so it's not a big ordeal, and it shouldn't take that much time. And it shouldn't be a huge energy drain and something that takes you away from the responsibilities and the life that you need to live. Opening Pandora's box should not be a huge ordeal. Key insight number 3. Connecting to the inner self is a muscle that takes time to train and build. Think of this emotional exploration as building a muscle. It's not about being perfect, but it's about showing up consistently. The more you practice, the stronger you're going to be. And over time, you're going to get the confidence to face whatever comes without feeling overwhelmed. Whenever we start building our muscles, we don't quit after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in and say, oh man, this isn't working. My biceps aren't 20 inches big yet. No, we know that there's going to be some breaking down of the tissue and building back up. And if you haven't been in the practice of really exploring your emotions and setting aside time to look at the inner struggles, this is a new muscle for you to flex. And it's going to take time for you to build this muscle up into the place where you feel comfortable and confident enough to really dive in to those deeper, harder, more challenging things. And so as we're moving into this, be kind to yourself and allow yourself to build that muscle. Begin to get the muscle memory surrounding taking time and taking space for yourself to do that emotional exploration, to look at those inner struggles, to see what's behind the fear, what's behind the anger, what's behind the sadness, the resentment, the restlessness, to build that muscle up, to be able to have the capacity to flex that. Insight number 4, opening the box allows you to have a depth of presence the world craves from you. When you do the inner work, you develop this depth of presence that people around you can feel. It's the kind of grounded, calm energy that your family, your partner, your colleagues, they all crave it and want it. Instead of this reactive, impulsive, anxious man, you have this intentional, strong, and grounded and present man. And this makes all those around you feel safe, feel more connected to you, and know that you are present with them in a way that most people are not. And that in our world today, where so many are distracted by media, phones, and all the things that are happening all around us, to be this person, this man who has this depth of presence, separates you out, opens up greater possibilities, makes your experiences richer and more expansive. And so as you do this inner work, this will create within you a depth of presence that is unique, special, and craved by the world. Insight number 5, you get to decide what you let out of the box and when. You have full agency to decide when and how to release what's inside of you. And you can pace yourself. It's not about dumping everything out all at once, but it's about creating a system that works for you so that you feel empowered rather than overwhelmed. And this is something that you're going to come back to day by day, week by week, month by month. And there's time. There's no need to rush or to feel overwhelmed by having to let it all out at one time. You get to choose. Nobody can tell you what's the most valuable and important thing for you to really look at. So this is time for you to really decide for yourself. Maybe at work your boss tells you what to do. When you get home, your wife asks you to do all these things. There's so many responsibilities all around us and pressures and deadlines. And as you're doing this inner work, this is a time for you to choose for yourself what's valuable and what's important for you to look at. What do you really need to take time with? What needs to be looked at? What have you been avoiding that really needs to be seen right now, today? And so take it easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself. This isn't about the struggle, the fight, and going hard. This is about being gentle, taking your time, pacing yourself, deciding for yourself. Today, I'm going to look at why I'm frustrated with my son, because he's not listening to me whenever I ask him to do something. And I'm just going to sit with that feeling and investigate it more deeply, more fully, just that one thing. And so you pace yourself. You decide. You go at your own speed. All right, so let's wrap all of this up. All right, we're talking about looking at our inner struggles without feeling overwhelmed, being able to do the inner work without feeling like we're opening up Pandora's box and all hell is going to break loose. And the 5 key insights that I have for you to do this are doing that routine maintenance on our inner selves. That's so needed for our long-term happiness. Opening this box doesn't need to be a big ordeal. We can take little bites and be easy with ourselves about it. Connecting to our inner selves is a muscle that's going to take time to build, especially if we're not used to it. Opening this box allows us to have this depth of presence that the world so craves. And you know you crave it for yourself too. And then finally, the 5th thing is you get to decide. You have full agency of what it is that you let out. And so as we wrap all of this up and think about all of these key insights, I know that this could feel overwhelming to do by yourself. I've given you a PDF guide to move through this practice. I've also given you an audio meditation that'll help you get started in this as well. But that may not be enough. You may want to go deeper. And so I'm inviting you to my one-on-one coaching practice to drop in with me in that, and we'll be able to create a roadmap for you to do the inner work and go at your own pace. I create a safe space, depth of insight and presence for you to help cultivate that inner work for yourself so that you can become that grounded, powerful, present man that the world craves and that you crave for yourself. And imagine having the strength within yourself, the inner strength, regardless of the external circumstances, to be able to handle all of life's storms with ease, feeling more connected to your purpose, feeling more grounded and secure in your relationships. This is what happens as a result of doing this inner work.